This is Emme, and welcome to the Moment of Mindfulness podcast. And today I have an interesting topic that I want to share with everyone. We're going to talk about effects and side effects, okay? So I've been out here in this field quite some time, and let me just start by giving you guys a little bit of a disclaimer, okay? I'm one of those people who people call a guru, but I'm not convinced, right? I am painfully aware of how much stuff I don't know. And I'm grateful for that. I don't ever want to be one of those people who believe erroneously that they know everything. Now, having said that, I also own what I do know. I was having a conversation with someone very dear to my heart, and it triggered this topic. And I decided to do a podcast about it because it's so necessary, it's so important right now. And that is the effects of things. So having said that, I'm one of those people who I watch myself, I watch others, I look for the subtle, and maybe it's natural because I'm a Scorpio, but however I got this way, that is how I am. And so when it comes to life, one of the things that I've noticed is there is no such thing as things that don't cause effect. We are fully integrated beings. Now, for those of you who follow me on social media, you've probably heard me say that if you are an apprentice of mine or a former mentee, you've heard me say that. But we are fully integrated beings. And in this sense, I'm not talking about just how our emotions impact our physical bodies, and our physical bodies impact our emotions, and all of that stuff impact us spiritually and then financially. That's all true. But we're also fully integrated with the universe, with the place that we occupy. And so let's get into the meat of it, okay? When you think about it, you are affected by everything that you eat. We all know that. There are a lot of people who are this diet, that diet, this diet or that diet, anti all these different things, because they realize that what we eat do have an effect on how we feel and on our body and our lifespan. So we are affected by what we eat, what we drink. We are affected also, though, by what we see, what we hear, what we say, how we feel. We are affected by what we put in our bodies, what we put on our bodies. The skin is an organ, is the largest organ of the body. And what you put on it matters, right? From the fabric to the moisturizer to all of that stuff. We are fully integrated, affected beings, right? Now, having said that, let's look at where I'm going with this a little more closely. When I first started reading about, because once you get into independent spirituality or whatever you get into, it might be ancestors, it might be however you kind of phase your way over into that or metaphysics even. However you get over there, it's not long before you start learning stuff that's not regular common knowledge. And so I started learning about what they use to treat this and how they treat that and this and that. And I started looking at the fabrics in my closet and like, I don't know. And the thing is, finding out that, okay, this fabric makes me itchy, when before I was like, it got to be the detergent, but really it was the fabric. I don't like this fabric. My skin doesn't like this fabric, and I itch or I hive or rash out behind this fabric. And it's the cheapest fabric, right? I started watching all of that, looking at how things affected me and really looking at them differently. Like, oh, so that's why. Because, the effect has been there, but when you don't realize that it's this instead of that, you will end up in a position where you kind of just settle. You're like, okay, well, that's just life. This is what it is. If I itch a little bit when I wear this kind of fabric, it is what it is, because this is what I can afford. So later on, I got into wigs. Then I got into perms, okay? And perms and wigs were my thing. And so it was difficult for me to be like, I'm not gonna perm my hair no more. It's easy to say you're not gonna perm your hair anymore until the first 6 months where you stop perming. So between the third month to 6 months after that, that to the ninth month, right? Boy, we. I mean, every day you like, man, I get it. I understand what they saying about perms, but I really need some help with this hair. And I'm proud to say I have been unpermed for a very long time now. I lost count of the years, but I stopped perming back then. But it wasn't easy because it affected how I live my life, how I wear my hair, how much time it takes for me to get ready in the morning. I say that to say this, loves. When we learn various things in life and the effect that it has on us, sometimes if we look up, we'll find ourselves caged into this little box that is absolutely not enjoyable. I don't care what nobody say. They can tell you all day long, oh, it's going to be fine and you'll find other enjoyment. You won't, because the box just keeps shrinking. And the box keeps shrinking for one reason, because everything has an effect, because everything will affect you. Everything around you, the way your home smells will affect you. The colors you use in your home, the colors you put on your body will affect you. And so it's not that we avoid any kind of bad effect, which you do want to minimize that. But what I found is helpful for me is to find things that make me feel good, that have a good effect, that is good for my skin. So if my focus is on finding things good for my skin rather than avoiding things bad for my skin, you see how that changes how you approach that whole journey, right? If my thought is finding things that make me happy and make me feel strong and fulfilled, rather than avoiding things that make me feel disempowered or ugly or weak or however people may make you feel or things may make you feel, I go into life a lot healthier. I go into my journey healthier. I come through this journey, the various stages of it, healthier. Everything affects you. People oftentimes don't understand what fully integrated means, but it means that there's nothing that can happen way over there that the effect of it won't eventually trickle down. It don't matter how far away you are. It doesn't matter if you can recognize it or not right away, because there are a lot of things that are affecting you right now. You don't know why it's there. You don't know where it comes from, but it is because of something that happened way off somewhere with people you don't even know. Now, the other side of effects, okay, is side effects. So everything affects you. And so we go after the things that make us feel the best. And guess what we find out right in that moment? We find out that those things have side effects. And it's like, come on, man. When I was in nursing school, a lot of people don't know that I went to nursing school. And I was acing it. I was killing it, but I could not be licensed as a nurse with a violent felony, right? So I had to, was gonna do, okay? Now, having said that, here's the best part of it. When I decided that I was going to nursing school, I wanted to understand medicine, because at that time I was enrolled in an LPN program, but I wanted to be a nurse practitioner. So I already knew, I had charted my path. And so pharmacology, while intimidating to most people, I knew I needed to really ace it. And the very first thing and most lasting lesson of what I got out of pharmacology is that every medication, every single pill, any kind, from Tylenol to aspirin to anything, over the counter or no, has side effects or has the potential to have side effects. And then when I got into magic and mysticism and being who I am now, guess what I learned? The most lasting, overwhelming lesson of magic is that it comes with side effects. It's like, what the hell? So what I'm saying to you is, you can chart out a path for your life and you say, I'm choosing wealth and I'm choosing personal power and I'm choosing healing and wellness. And then those are the effects you want in your life, but they will come with something else. If you decide, I refuse to stay poor, I'm going to become wealthy, guess what's going to happen? You are probably going to move from poverty to some measure of wealth, whatever measure you make, but you will end up in a better position. But in the process of moving to that better position, you're going to lose a few friends and associates. There's going to be difficulties in your family, especially if you have a large one. There's going to be a lot of judgments about how you did it. It don't matter if you won the lottery, if you open up a business that was, serving and helping thousands and thousands of people. It don't matter how you do it. Someone's going to talk about it. Okay. You're going to question yourself the whole way. All of these are the side effects. It comes along with it. So what I'm saying is no matter what you give yourself, there are the things that you give yourself this thing for. I give myself education because I want to do better in life. So the education is the thing that I'm giving myself because I want to improve my life. But there's byproducts that come along with education, okay? That come along with wealth, that come along with marriage, or that come along with being single, that come along with having kids, that whatever it is that you could desire. I meet so many people, and this is the reason for the podcast. I meet so many people who are disillusioned because they're thrown off by the effects and the side effects of things. They want what they want with no struggle, no resistance, and no blowback. And that's not possible. Old people used to say, there's two sides to every story. Yes, there are. Universal laws talk about duality and polarity. Yes, it's real. When you front face a thing, and that's what happens in our society so often, people front face a thing only. Oh, she's so beautiful now. And oh, look at her face. Look at her skin. Look at her hair. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, look at her house. Her home is so gorgeous. Oh, look at her cars. Look at her man. They look so good together. And look at those kids. They look so put together. That's what you call front facing. Okay. And from the front, that's exactly what you should show. That's not a judgment. That's exactly what you should show, the beauty of it. But please understand that there's a backside to what's front facing. This side of my hands don't look like this side, okay? And so front facing, you don't see that it took 3 hours to get all these darn kids together. You don't see how many sleepless nights were spent because the children were sick, because the husband was sick. You don't see how many arguments were had because two people couldn't agree upon what to do about whatever thing. And you don't see all of what it took to create this front-facing beauty. You don't. You don't have to. Universal laws tell us that it's there. Tell us that it exists. Happily married don't mean never, ever, ever disagreeing and always, 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 always feeling like putting up with each other. No. Happily married means that when all the cards are down, I'm still happy. Wealthy don't mean unchallenged. It doesn't mean without struggle or whatever else that people oftentimes associate wealth with. What it does mean is that I'm not struggling to pay my mortgage and I'm not struggling to pay my utilities, my car note and my insurance and all that kind of stuff. But it don't necessarily mean that my body don't have days. It don't necessarily mean that my relationship doesn't have days. It doesn't, you know what I mean? And even within the space of wealth, it doesn't mean that sometimes my money isn't tied up here when there's an opportunity here. There's still the process of living. One of the things that I want to encourage every last one of you to do is to stop minimizing your own strength. You are strong enough to deal with the side effects of whatever thing you want to give yourself for the effect that you want. Okay? Now, to make that make sense, and y'all, bangs and I, okay? To make that make sense, I want you to think about it like this. You give yourself better credit. an opportunity, you give yourself an opportunity to build a business, and you give yourself time to build it, and you give yourself, the right contacts to build it and become successful. And so you give yourself these things for these reasons. These are the effects that you want, and those things affect you. Right? So because you're building a business, and because you're educating yourself, and because you're making new connections, you don't have as much time for the old connections. So guess what the effect is? You miss your friends. Sometimes you miss your family. Sometimes you have to miss your children. But you know why you're doing it. The side effect then becomes that your children also miss you, and your family and your friends. And now you're dealing with them putting pressure on you. You're always gone. You're always doing this. You're dealing with that. That don't mean stop doing what you're doing. You deal with a side effect the same way you would in medicine. If it's unbearable, if the side effect breaks something that's really super important to you, or threatens to break something, then you discontinue the medicine. But if the side effect is an annoyance for a medicine you need, and only you can make this decision, then you find a way to deal with the symptoms of the side effect. Rather that be having conversations, carving out one weekend every month where you're able to be with family, be with friends, and do all the things, right? You find balance, you flow. A river is not the same in every part of it. The Mississippi, it's easy to say the Mississippi River and you see it and you like this long expanse or stretch of water, but every place that it flows past is not made the same as every other place that it flows past. There are dips and valleys up under that water, right? There are areas where some of the shore has washed out and it was able to widen itself. There are other places where it's a little bit more constricted. So you are a river. You're going to flow across many scenic, areas. But you do want to flow. You do want to be in a position where you understand you are the power. You are the power. And whatever side effects come along with building the life you want, you're able to deal with it. Because everything that you desire and everything that you do comes from your choices. It's something that you have said is important to you. It is something you have committed time and energy to pursuing. And it is just as easy, even though right now it might feel like it was easy to do, but a decision is not the hardest thing in the world to do. We make it like that because most of us don't trust ourselves, and a lot of us also don't trust other people, right? So it seems hard because I don't know, and I don't know, and I don't know, but that's the story you're telling yourself. A decision is just that, a decision. I like this. I want this. I'm pursuing this. Whoa, that's too far. Dialing that back. And then repurposing some energy, moving in a different direction. You pivot, okay? It's important that we stop minimizing our power to decide our lives. Stop being afraid to make mistakes. Stop being afraid to feel the journey. The journey is meant to be felt. Effects, side effects. You will be affected in the effects, okay? Making sure that you guys understand that there is no way to live unaffected. There's no way to live unaffected. You are affected by everything around you. You are affecting everything around you. That's why for me, it's not a question whether I get up and do this every day. I got to, because this is how I see my life being meaningful. This is what I have determined to be a part of my lifelong journey. I might undecide that 10 years from now. I don't know. But for today, that's where I am, right? For today, where are you? What effects do you want to see in your life? And do you realize that you're the one to create these things in your life? You're the one to give yourself these opportunities, this knowledge, all these things that create the life that you desire. And you're also the one who is more than capable of dealing with whatever comes along with it. Okay? All right, guys. So that's my message. I want to make sure that you guys are aware that the apprenticeship is open. So for anyone who wants to study spirituality with me, who wants to dive into spiritual and occult practices and metaphysical knowledge and different things like that, discovering your own power, then the Divinity Academy apprenticeship is definitely for you. Now, it is $1,000 a month program. Generally, you can expect to graduate between 12 and 15 months. And so that is how we're doing it now, because there is a plethora of videos and information, and it's about to get larger because now we're going back to the Zooms and different things like that. So there's so much information. You could easily study for 2 or 3 years, depending on your speed. But some people can get it done in a year, especially those who are not distracted and don't have a lot of other things going on. And then after you complete the apprenticeship, we have L's Cafe, the elevated, right? L's elevated, and then we also have continued studies. So there are many different options to study. And those of you who are interested in the money mentorship, that is also open. You will want to visit the legacybuildersacademy.com. And for the apprenticeship, divinityacademy.com. I'll talk to you guys soon. Y'all have a fantastic day.